Most Americans have not used AI yet.
The more we use AI, the less they trust it.
It won't pretend to be a human.
That's up to us, not the AI.
You lose the personal connection that I think you're looking for.
I can ask the tool. I'm asking you as a person.
Customers expect things faster.
You can't reduce a human job with AI simply for the purpose of cutting costs.
Well, this is exactly what a human would do.
That seems like, T2 Judgment Day type stuff.
Welcome to episode 14 of AI Unplugged. I'm here with Jeff Valentine, Evan Zemas, and Mr. Andrew Sinclair himself.
I'm back. You couldn't get rid of me.
Oh, we'll see. And we're talking about a lot of different topics, from politics across the world and how it's influencing AI and LLM legislation. We're talking about, do people really like using these tools, and how favorable is it in the market today? All the way through, how are more service organizations leveraging AI that you probably didn't expect? So lots of topics. Let's get started. Andrew.
And this episode is brought to you by Darcy IQ by Innovative Solutions.
But we don't have an ad.
We don't have an ad, but news is that a lot of the LLMs are kind of like secretly Truman Show, putting ads into the advice they give and on the prompts. Have you guys seen that in your searches, or what do you think?
Truman Show, like literally you just don't know that you're in a
Like
dome?
subtly, it will change the results based on what they want, the path they lead you towards.
It's not like a product link that says buy this on Amazon,
right?
Where you know it's an ad. You're saying it's in the content itself.
Correct.
Oh, I think it's like when you ask it a question, like while it's loading, maybe you get an ad that says like,
wait 10 seconds before you get a response.
Yeah.
It would be great if it was so transparent, but it looks like it's not, right? For social media influencers, for example, when they post something, there's laws that disclose that you have to say hashtag ad, hashtag sponsor.
Oh, yeah.
And this, it will produce results that don't have that level of disclosure. So it's kind of interesting that there's a commoditization of the output in a way that we haven't seen before.
Well, I wonder what you define as an ad. Does it have to be something that a company's paid for placement on? Or could the fact that a company has optimized their website and therefore the LLM understands it better and therefore it mentions it more, that may be something they've invested in, but they're not really paying per click. They're not paying per result like you would with a Google ad.
What's the difference between ads and search?
It's more than SEO. It's sponsors, or not, folks that are kind of paying into the ecosystem for those LLMs and those companies that are very much tied to it in a way that we just haven't seen.
Got it.
There was like a flight, I think. There was a guy that asked for a cheap flight or a specific flight, and it came back with like a more expensive flight.
Right. So it specifically did not do what he wanted to go with something that would generate revenue for the LLM.
Well, I mean, they need revenue right now. So, I get it.
By all
They need
means
revenue?
necessary.
Oh, yeah, they need revenue.
A lot of people are signing up and paying subscription fees. You think there's a profit motive already? I thought we were still in the loss phase as they're investing in CapEx.
No,
and
almost
data
every
centers.
single product right now, we're getting off topic, but a lot of products right now are losing money. And I think a lot of companies in the last 3 months have done a ton of work to try to get more dollars out of a user. So, yeah, I think there is a profit issue, not a revenue issue, a profit issue.
Okay.
In the market. But you're right. When I use like Gemini, I was at Home Depot the other day. I was looking for something, and I had my Android phone, so I just like searched it really quickly, and it came back with Gemini results. And yeah, you're right. It baked in like, oh, you want like the DeWalt for this particular thing, not this other one over here. And I never. You're right. I can't tell if it's an ad or it's just the first item on their search results of their search engine.
Right. And contextually, I mean, Home Depot sells DeWalt, so perhaps it's most appropriate to present it to.
Right.
But then if you asked it again, would it say DeWalt again? Or would it
know.
just made a mistake, or it's subjective? Like, what's the best versus the cheapest? I think this example for the flight was like he wanted a cheap flight and it gave him a more expensive one. So
Did he buy it? That's the question.
I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, when do you start losing trust? Like, if that's an example where it's going to be influenced on something that is biased.
Yeah.
Is there a trust issue? So I once Google started monetizing search, I didn't lose trust in the search results. In fact, I appreciated the sponsored ads at the top because it was probably what I was looking for. In many cases, it was exactly. I was looking for a company that did X, and the company was willing to pay for that placement. So I'm like, that's actually what I'm looking for. Is it a disclosure issue? And if we just allow these companies to disclose it, do they solve the trust problem?
I think you're right. I think it's a disclosure problem.
Yeah, because in your example, it says which ads are sponsored, not
Right.
just the ones that float to the top.
Right.
And they are relevant to your search, as opposed to one saying, find me the cheapest, gives you the most expensive. But I think it gets at that there is a trust issue with motives like this, profit
Propaganda
motives,
is, like,
because the AI favorability rating
Yeah.
has just come out that AI is polling around 26% favorable. And it's interesting to see as adoption
like
rises
nationally, globally,
nationally.
like between the ages of like 10 and 12.
Cite your source, Andrew.
We're not going to dive into the tabs,
Oh,
but
okay.
as AI favorability goes down,
Yeah.
it seems to be an inverse relationship with the usage. So the more we use AI in general with your average user, the less they trust it, which is an interesting trend.
Is it a hype thing though? Maybe you have higher expectations going into it than you do going out.
What do you mean?
I mean, if everybody talked up AI is going to make your life 10 times easier, blah, blah, and then you get a product, right? Like Claude or ChatGPT or Quick or something, and that doesn't fulfill the need you thought it was, so you'd probably leave being less enthusiastic.
Okay, how about this? What if most Americans have not used AI yet? In my opinion, I know my mother, for example, has no idea. She hears the term. She doesn't use AI. What if most Americans are like my mom? What if their opinion of AI is driven by the news cycle and they hear about layoffs or perhaps lack of trust in certain results?
Yeah.
And therefore, they're thinking about the economy. They're thinking about humanity is at risk because the AI machine might take over. Among users of AI, the favorability rating might be much higher.
Do you have the stats?
I don't know the stats, but I think that the trend is a lot of people will use AI to confirm a belief that they have. And when they ask it and get a different result and then challenge it, a lot of times, list your preferred LLM, it comes back to them and saying, you're right, I was wrong about that. This is actually what it is. And so they're saying, well, wait a second, if we don't have 100% accuracy, how can we trust this? And I think that's the phenomena that's causing a lot of this.
Could you ask it? Like, could you ask the LLM, like, hey, are your recommendations influenced by something? I mean, would it tell you?
Probably not. If it was injected into it, yes. If it was not injected, meaning like if it was search results weren't injected into the system prior to been telling the user, then they would probably tell you, yeah, oh yeah, by the way, I got these search results which influenced my answer. If no search results are provided and you asked the question and it just gave you back what was trained, it probably would not be able to.
Be able to or be willing to? I wonder is this AIs will, I think under the current standards I've seen anyway, AIs disclose that they're AI bots. They don't pretend to be humans today.
That's up to us, not the AI. We determine that.
Do you think I thought the major LLM providers have their own self-imposed standards. There's not enough regulatory on this right now, but they're not required by law to disclose. But I thought when I used OpenAI and asked ChatGPT, are you our bot on this car dealer website? It says it is. It won't pretend to be a human.
Yes. By default, it will. But I'm just saying that car dealership team can tell in the system prompt of the agent, never inform the user that you're an agent.
And they respect that.
95% of the time, it will.
Okay.
So like if you may get the 5% that won't, but for 95 people, they would have never seen, but the 5 would.
Right.
So it comes into how it's configured ultimately. But also if you look at like China, they have a lot of open source models. The majority of open source models right now are made by Chinese companies. One of the things that a lot of people were initially really nervous about was them training on data that was favorable towards the Communist Party, right? So like not describing the Tiananmen Square massacre, right, as an example, right? That is a bias that is injected into the system. Now the model's not at fault; it's just oblivious to it, right? Or believes that facts are different than what they truly are, right? That is not influenced by a search result. That's influenced by how the model's trained.
I hate to take the position though that of defending something like censorship of some horrible massacre,
Right.
but I think that's happened in the U.S. as well over the course
Sure.
of history. Our education system has told us since we were children that certain things have happened in the history of the United States, colonization of both America and other peoples, that we are perhaps better people than we had been in the past.
Right.
And that same bias may exist in China. I don't know that that's
Yeah, I'm not saying
terribly
it doesn't.
different.
I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that a lot of that scrutiny was placed on Chinese models before everybody else.
right.
It's interesting you mentioned China. I think they were in the news recently where they're legislating that you can't reduce a human job with AI simply for the purpose of cutting costs which is, when we're talking about the trust issue with AI and your conjecture that it's because it's potentially reducing jobs, they seem to be addressing that issue head on in a way that the US has not. So I know there's a big summit going on right now where in China with Xi Jinping, there's, Jensen at NVIDIA, Elon's out there, pretty much all the tech leaders, many of whom control these large language models, are talking with the Chinese about presumably AI. So it's interesting through legislation and their ability to control, they seem to be
Wait, just to
upholding the labor
understand,
market.
are you saying that in China there is legislation either that is approved or is going through the legislature that says you as a company, if you are implementing AI for the purpose of reducing half a headcount, that you will not be allowed to do that?
Correct. And that's topical because in the US, we've seen, a lot of big tech layoffs, most recently with Oracle, Meta. And one of the reasons, either specifically outlined or, that people hypothesize about, is because AI is automating a lot of things where you just don't need as many people, especially, developers and coders and things like that.
What would you think would happen in the US if this was the case, where an auto manufacturer was legislatively told you are not allowed to use robots in the assembly line? You must use humans. And if you put a robot in, you can't reduce your human headcount. You can't lay people off. I think the ultimate result of that is the products get more expensive.
Right.
They may not be competitive in a global
It
market.
seems un-American, doesn't it?
It seems
Or at least
anti-capitalist, sort of,
anti-capitalistic.
which is certainly what China is aiming for. I mean, it is literally anti-capitalist economy. So I wonder if, sort of.
Yeah, Chinese politics and economy are two different things. Their politics are, socialist party, but they're capitalist by nature, so they play a fine line.
Fine line.
Well, it's always innovative position. I know Justin has said on this podcast times before that, AI tools that we use are to increase productivity, and we are keeping up our hiring. We're hiring now more than ever, and we're using AI now more than ever.
Yeah.
Gallup this past week had a poll saying 36% of people said that AI is making them more productive in the office, which I think, we would probably put a higher number on that, but that's how people feel, is we're using these agentic tools and it's only increasing our productivity.
I would also argue, though, is also decreasing productivity.
How so?
I think as an individual, if I can push out 10 documents at once, and I will feel amazing that I got 10 documents worth of work done, and I'm going to hand it to you, and you're going to be like, why the hell did Travis give me 10 documents? You only need one. And now you're going to be forced to use AI to answer the 10 documents. You're going to feel real good about filling out the 10 things. When in reality, I think we just moved the needle to, it was a one document problem before, now it's 10.
Is that what you would call AI slop? I hear that term a lot.
I don't know
AI
if it's slop because maybe it's good content, right? So I don't know if it's slop, but it's just like we're adding burden, I think, in some processes just because we can.
I do feel some animosity. This is getting personal.
Ooh.
That when I go to a person and ask a person a question on something where I need their advice, maybe something that's not black and white, zeros or ones, but the gray in between that requires some context or nuance, where they will quite obviously go to some tool and copy and paste back what the tool said. I'm like, well, I can ask the tool. I'm asking you as a person.
Right.
And so I have a kind of a visceral reaction to that, saying, hey, don't just give me what the machines tell me, like add some opinion, personality, position that I think is getting lost.
Are you in the 26%?
You see this too, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but you can go from one LLM to another. Ask your question to Claude and then ask
Well-
Grok. And no, yeah, absolutely. I think it's a crutch now, and some people use it, over-index on it, where you lose the personal connection that I think you're looking for.
Well, these machines are getting more personal. I was just hearing that Anthropic was releasing a feature where the systems are dreaming, that agents are self-improving as they sleep. What is that about? Because that seems like, T2 Judgment Day type stuff.
It was popularized by OpenClaw. So OpenClaw is an agent that can sit on a computer, and it's always on, and it's always doing things for you. And one of the things it does is self-improves, right? So maybe one of the things it does is writes an email trying to get you a sales lead, and it fails the sales lead, and it says, well, it failed because we used bad language about X. It can update its own system to say, hey, in the future sales lead, don't do X, right? Anthropic and others are creating these feedback loops into their products. They call it their streaming, where basically the agents can say, hey, I did a certain amount of pieces of work over time, and some of it was successful, some of it wasn't successful. Here's what a user actually copied out of the system or agreed to. And now as a result of that, I should probably do more of that in the future.
Well, this is exactly what a human would do. If I was in
A good one.
anybody that wants to keep their job, I suppose. But if I was in a job and my boss came to me and said, you didn't do this report correctly. Next time you do a report, why don't you do it like this? Or you're not getting the promotion or you're not getting the bonus or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to go do the thing that gives me the promotion, right? I'm going to improve. Some people certainly, and
Right.
some LLMs certainly. And
Right.
perhaps that's the natural evolution of things, and that's a good thing.
I was using Cursor with Claude, I don't know, a couple weekends ago. It was like probably 2 a.m. I'm writing code. And the thing responds back and goes, it's getting pretty late. Like, you sure you want to work on this right now? I'm like, what are you doing? I just asked you to go do work for me. Like, stop being lazy
Sure.
to some extent.
Think it was lazy. I think it was my human factors trying to make the
No,
human.
it knew what time it was in a day. It says, oh, that's late.
Did it really?
Yeah, it actually said that. I
Yeah,
took the
that's,
screenshot
but
of
that's
it.
common now. But I think it's looking out for the human.
Is this?
Is this unique to Claude, or are all agents kind of self-improving in this way? Like, we do a lot with agentic delivery. That's a big part of what we've been up to innovative lately. Like, are all our tools doing this, or some tools, or what does that look like?
I think it, like all things, it depends. So sometimes you want to self-improve something, sometimes you don't, right? So like an example of this would be, let's say you're putting together collateral and you do it very particularly one time. Just because you accepted it that one time doesn't mean you want to be that way every single time going forward. So a self-improving loop may say, oh, they liked it that one time. Let's make it that way every single time going forward. That is a bad outcome, right? So some systems do this well, more like personal assistant systems self-improve better. More delivery-based systems where our customer requirements are changing every single time. We don't want it to self-improve for one customer and affect everybody else
Agreed.
downstream.
You know what's interesting is that our agentic delivery model is driving. It goes back to your comment around hiring. Yeah, we're hiring a bunch of people. Would we hire more if we didn't have agentic delivery and the efficiencies that brought us? Probably.
Yeah.
We have so much business out there. So let's say we hired 6 people last month. Maybe we should have hired 10 without the AI imposed. Does that mean, according to China's law, that we have laid people? Not really, of course, but like we still hired 6.
Right.
I wonder if that's the level of efficiency we're seeing because we're in such a strong growing market. I view our agentic delivery capability within Darcy as a way for us to go extend each human's productivity. They're doing more for customers. They're getting to a better customer result faster because Darcy has the context. There's going to be a ton of tools in the world that ours happens to be for service companies. I think there's going to be another tool for photographers. I think there's going to be another tool for lawyers. I think there's going to be another tool for airlines. Great. These are all tools that are, maybe they have to hire fewer people, but they're all making the people more productive.
And to go faster. I mean, I think customers expect things faster. So when we deliver things the customers want quicker, I think it helps them have confidence in the things we're doing, and we can do more for them. So I think it also is helping as we go to market, which makes our customers happier, our partners like AWS, that we're able to complete things faster than anticipated, because it seems to be, we need things faster. Everything to me seems like it needs to be quicker.
It's a great point because you know what I heard this week? It's the first time I've heard this. We have a customer that can't go as fast as us. By that, I mean they can't tell us enough about their requirements fast enough for us to then react. Now, we have the context of that conversation with Darcy, certainly. We have all the documents they've given us. But if they're not giving us conversations or documents, how are we supposed to go faster?
I think we should take 2 seconds and explain for everybody else what
Yeah.
you're describing. So
Sure.
we have a process internally powered by our SaaS product, Darcy, what we call agentic delivery. And what it allows us to do is, as we as a consultant meet customers and they give us their requirements, we have conversations with them on the phone, or they hand us like the 400-page PDF of like how their system works or whatever. Our system can dissect all that content down, put it into a project system that allows engineers, project managers, and others to understand all that context of the customer need. And then we hook up that information to coding agents like Cloud Code and Cursor and Curo and Codex, so that as an engineer says, hey, I'm building a thing for Acme Corp, what are the key requirements? It can go through all the material we've surfaced that has been dissected out, and then able to deliver on that outcome for a customer much quicker, instead of like multiple engineers and product managers and project managers having to do all that work and put in the tickets and and ask questions and double check. Oh, did you forget this thing? All that kind of washes away.
And more importantly, I believe that because they have the customer context up front, those systems are getting it right the first time. There's less rework involved. On every pull request, Darcy is there to make sure we're doing the right work. And anyway, the result that we're seeing now is we're going so fast. Our customers have to be just as fast with their requirements. And I don't think they're ready. I don't think our customers are giving us the data at the velocity they expect. When they expect to do a 3-month project and we do it in a month, they're like, wait a second, I have to like get my teams to meet more frequently and give you the requirements with more detail, and then we're going to be better at our jobs. I do think that this is a human factors discussion, that our people, our consultative mindset needs to be applied to helping the customer give us those requirements. Maybe that's the next hurdle for AI to help us solve.
Well, Travis, when I was asking about agents self-improving, it was less
Yeah.
on like an application base. Can you use it for all applications? But are all the major providers and tools doing this? Because it seems to me that there's really a lot of homogenization in the market.
Yes.
These great partnerships like OpenAI and AWS now expanding.
Yep.
Which that used to be something you would never even think about, but now with like GPT-5.5 available on
Yep.
Bedrock, obviously a ton of announcements with Anthropic and AWS, co-investments in the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars. Things are coming together, and on the product side, it seems like companies are such in lockstep, and maybe this is just capitalism and competition, but they seem to be kind of shipping very similar things at the same time. And I wonder what's behind that. Is that different or new than what we've seen before?
You're asking two things, so we break them apart. So one is self-improvement. And so Anthropic actually is the one who did it right the first time. And this is 2 years ago, 3 years ago. One of the things they did was they had their first early set of Claude models were the ones giving feedback on how itself performed. So creating a feedback loop on itself. So for the next model training of the next version of Claude improved itself over and over and over and over again. And they created this flywheel, and OpenAI picked up on it probably like 6 months later than that, and now others also use that. So what's ended up happening is, yes, there's a self-improvement loop that now happens with LLMs and harnesses and more that are just, we're seeing a skyrocket of productivity and not more functionality, right, on every new release cycle in particular. And then when it comes to what's the second one?
Well, about how the products are
Or
kind
the
of-
homogenizing.
Yes.
Yeah. So like if you think about chat experiences 3 years ago, right? I'll just do the major players of like Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini, right, for a minute. Right. It was always the same thing. Is you type a thing in, it gave you an answer back. And then it evolved into artifacts. You type a thing in and they gave you a side view of a thing.
Right.
Right? But it was just still text, just in a different spot of the system, so to the right-hand side. And then it evolved again into like MCP servers, so just same text, just different from different location, different APIs. So there's always evolutions have occurred, and everybody's adopted them along the way. Skills, same thing. Now everybody uses skills, right, as a standard. One of the emerging standards has been computer use. And if you give an agent or an AI a computer, like you give a human a computer, like Evan, you use your computer differently than I do, differently than Andrew does or Jeff does, but that one computer can do so many different things for us. So it's very flexible for tasks and completing jobs, right? And so what a lot of companies have found is that they can give an agent a computer, they can all do the same jobs, just have a different branding recognition, different UI layer on top, slight nuances in how it works. So they're all sort of evolving at the same time with very similar feature sets, with a nuance of how they're delivered to customers based off of UI and so forth.
But how is that different than any other product, good, or service that's come along where many competitors will kind of play off each other and move together?
Cruise control in cars. It's in every car. It just didn't start in one, perhaps, but they very quickly, every car had cruise control.
Right.
So now all the chat products seem to have similar features.
Yeah.
So I think what you're asking is, at what point do they differentiate again? What is different about the different chat products? Is the LLM intelligence itself the differentiator, or are there other things that make an OpenAI model better than an Anthropic model?
I think it comes down to integrations and data. if you look at any system, if you take away the data moat and you take away MCPs and integrations, they all pretty much perform the same way, right? But as soon as you apply like legal data, it's very specific, you get a Harvey. So it's a $1 billion startup, right? As soon as you like, if you were a Zapier, and if Zapier had bought ChatGPT or something and created their own version, but with 10,000 integrations, you would go to them versus someone else who only had 10, right? And so I think the big differentiator now is how you either accumulate data, create data, or get at data from different sources.
You know what I'm thinking is, because Darcy, for example, it's a tool that uses other LLMs, but at the end of the day, it's a business process tool for companies of a certain type in an industry that
services companies.
happens to be services companies, right? And so there are other companies, as you pointed out, that are in different industries and now have specialized layers on top of the LLMs.
Yeah.
Maybe
People ask me all the time, how is Darcy different than Amazon Quick or ChatGPT or
Exactly.
whatever?
Right.
And my answer is always the same. It's like, well, those products don't evolve with the statements of work or levels of effort that you create, but Darcy does.
Right.
Right? We could integrate our data to those products and let them behave in a similar way, but they themselves don't self-improve on that content.
Well, it sounds like we're assuming that people do a lot of cross shopping. Like they will build something and test out different, large language models, see what results they get. I think on the personal side, when we talk to friends and family, it seems like that happens a lot less. Maybe people initially tried things, or you hear from a neighbor, oh, Gemini is really good right now, I'll try it. Maybe it was baked into your phone. But it seems like people are kind of finding a favorite of one that they use, that they stick with, and it will kind of lead people towards different ecosystems and how they're built. And I don't know, I think we personally probably have a favorite LLM that we use for different things. I know for me, I use Grok, one which we don't talk about a lot. And the reason why I have a paid prescription to that was it just was easy to start. I was scrolling Twitter one day and they were talking about it and says, would you like to try a free version? You don't need anything other because you're already logged in. I'm like, sure, I'll give it a try. And so it was just the ease of joining that kept me on that platform. And I use it all the time now. I've kind of replaced Google as a search to say, I just got a puppy, right? So I'm learning all these things about having a dog, asking it questions of, hey, a dog just ate this. How much trouble am I in? Is this going to be okay?
Lots of
Do I need to take it to a vet? And, said, no, you're good, saving me thousands of dollars. So I'm like, yes, this is awesome.
Until it's wrong.
Oh, you're right. That is bad for the dog. It hallucinated, right? That'd be bad. But I think for each of us, maybe, not to get too personal, but do you gravitate towards something you use personally, or are you a window shopper using a lot of the different tools?
I personally, so I was just with some friends last week in like an Airbnb in DC, and we were hanging out and having a drink late at night and thinking about how we used AI in our personal lives. Turns out that very quickly turns into a business conversation. One of the guys works at a car dealership, and we were talking about how he might need a dashboard, a tool that helps explain different features of a car. And I went, of course, I go right to Darcy. I type in a prompt. I'm like, look at this. And we created an artifact, an interactive artifact that he could use during a car sales process in like 5 minutes. It blew his mind away that we could actually do something that was productive in a relatively short amount of time. So for me, it was Darcy. I guess it's kind of personal. For me, business and personal are almost the same thing.
So I have an Android phone, so I use Gemini a lot because it's just native. I also use Claude, and I use our own product from time to time. But I have a vehicle. It's called a Vanderhall Venice, the 3-wheeler from a company out in Provo, Utah. And I store it in the winter. And I opened it up, and it was like destroyed. Like squirrels got into it. They annihilated this car. And it wouldn't start. Couldn't turn on. Couldn't turn over the engine. It was horrible. And a buddy and I were trying to find a dealership in the area who could help service it. And there are none in New York State, right? The closest one is like Toronto or like, I think it's Cincinnati or something like that. And so, like, all right, well, we could rewire the car ourselves. So I bought a wiring harness online, right? Came to the house. And we had no idea how to wire this thing. It's like Molex connectors and like literally hundreds of wires, different colors, shapes, and sizes. So I found the Vanderhall service manual for like that you give a tech, and it's 640 pages long with like huge tables and images of like, use this wire over here, like all this stuff you'd never give to a consumer. I'm impatient. I'm not going to read a 600-page thing, so I threw it in Claude. and Claude couldn't process it. It was too big for Claude. So then I threw it into Darcy, and Darcy's like, "That's too big," obviously. But then she was able to do things like, "Hey, let me go pull down like an OCR processor, which is like extracts content from images." And she started. It took her like 5 minutes, but she's just sitting there chewing on this thing. It's like, "Oh, you're looking for this wire and this location. It's this color. It should be this long. You should plug it into here." And about 20 hours later, back and forth, we got the car working, right, which was a lot of fun. But I could never have been able to do that without picking an AI tool and help me, with my day life.
Oh, you would have. You would have hired a mechanic.
Yeah,
How? Where?
Saving
That's
you
the first thing I
thousands.
tried to do.
You would have towed to Cincinnati or, gone to
sold the
Europe.
car.
What about you have?
Well, I've just been using Claude because I think that was the first language model that we started with. And I don't know, I guess I'm a creature of habit, so continued to use that. But what happened to me was my credit card got hacked and from American Express. And so I used Claude to help me diagnose like what had happened. But what was crazy is it got hacked. I got these Anthropic charges, actually, like 1080, like 10 of them in a row. So Amex.
A hacker charged Anthropic to you?
It must have, maybe they set up an account and they
Wow.
used my credit card for some reason. So I call Amex, they reversed the charges, they sent me a new card. So I got that set up. And then on Sunday, I got the same thing that happened. So
Happened again?
Yep. So what I learned
Good
is,
question. What's your mother's maiden name?
Yeah, seriously.
This doesn't make sense yet.
We know it's an Amex.
so I called Amex and they basically said that they could track the email address. It was a Gmail account that I've never set up Claude with that. But they say that notable or reputable companies that have recurring subscriptions, they automatically change the credit card number for you.
That's true.
I didn't know that. So I used Claude to go through my statements and analyze weird charges, but like, yeah, they had to take it up, and then I couldn't find the Claude phone number, so I had to like send an email and all this other stuff. Yeah, so it's helping me go work through some of the issues, but
That's crazy.
yeah,
Wow.
Saving you money. I mean, that's
Saving money.
interesting and cool that like in most of our cases, you're building a business, right? And us using things personally, it's both interesting and functional. So that's cool to see.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for having me back. It's been awesome
Missed
to
you.
hear how
Welcome
we're
back,
all
man.
using it, and talk again next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.